Now this piece, see, has the ovals cut in it and the bolts on the back to separate it. This piece is going to be cleaned, and this will be the one painted piece on this sculpture. This will be painted all a real high gloss black. Now we need to come back over here and once again place that piece there. This piece over here, just the way it's going to be going on there. Just like that. Now, we need to do the same thing on this arc, which will go something like that. Now this piece will be separated from this piece in the same way with the bolts. So we need to mark just where this is going to go. So we want to bolt that down there, and there, and there. So we need to drill now into this one. Here. Okay. Once again, we go back over here. Placing this piece on here, just exactly where it was. And that needs to be clamped down. Over. And these need to be marked where the nut will be welded. Now on this piece, as on the other one, we'll weld these nuts on the marks that we made. Okay, now that's done. What we'll do next is we're going to prepare this piece for painting, and then while this dries, it'll give us a chance to do the real beauty of this, and that is put the finishes on, which I think you'll find really interesting. Everybody asks that's seen my work, and if you've seen my work, you probably ask the same thing, is how do I get these magnificent finishes on the metal? Well, it's actually machined right in. I use a very, very high-speed angle die grinder. Sounds like a loud dentist drill. Goes 20,000 RPMs. And I use abrasive, coarse 3M discs, and then finish it off with a fine 3M disc, which actually puts a polish right on the metal. Once again, taking on a piece of giant jewelry. That's my end hopeful result. Now, we're not going to put a finish on this piece because it's going to be painted, but we do want to clean up all the cuts and bevel all these oval holes. Okay? By putting a bevel like this in here, gives the holes a dimension and frames them off a little bit. I also like my holes to have that stamped out appearance, not some choppy cut. On the face side that's showing, I want that same beveled look, all cuts absolutely clean and polished. So using a lacquer thinner, we'll get those marking pens off because they are disastrous. Now the paints that I use are automotive paints, specifically Centeri enamel, DuPont. This is probably one of the best paints there are that's used on hot rods and show cars. It's a three-part painting process just like painting a car, and it's very hard, and accordingly will keep it shine like probably forever. I have pieces that have been outside for years that look like they were just painted today. This process is a little bit longer. It isn't like using a little spray can, and they're expensive paints, but the end result on my art, you can tell the difference with this paint. So I use nothing but Centeri enamel. This is paint prep that makes sure that any oils, any markings, and the metal is actually clean for painting. This is a detail gun, which is all I need for these small jobs. And as far as safety goes with these paints are really toxic. So I always use a mask and always use gloves, because if you get it on your skin, it's almost impossible to get off. This is Centeri Pitch Black. It's a real high gloss black. Give you an example of how hard this paint is. Once it's mixed with the reducer and the hardener before painting, the shelf life, as they call it, or how long it'll be good before you can use it, is only a couple hours. So once you mix it, you got to use it like immediately. Okay, we start out with this. And all this has to be measured out just right. This paint also dries pretty quickly because of the hardener in it. This was the reducer that I just put in it. And this is the hardener that makes it hard and even adds more gloss to the paint. Okay, so we are now ready to roll. Okay, now we're ready to begin painting this piece. And on this sculpture, this will be the one piece that's painted, which will go up right through the middle. So there'll be, once again, a piece underneath it and a piece on top of it that'll be polished and brushed bright silver aluminum, and then this high gloss black piece shooting right up through the middle of it. Okay, this piece is now all painted, and just to show you once again how hard this paint is, it's just about dry already. Okay, now for the fun part and the beauty. We're going to put the actual finish on this piece and the arc piece. First we need to clean off all of this marking pens and marks and X's and everything. Actually, before we put the finish on, we better weld the mounting brackets on the back. That way when we flip it over to put the brackets on, we don't scratch the finished finish. So we'll put the mounting piece of channel bracket right along this line, and it'll hang up straight on the wall. This is channel that I use. And we'll just cut this right off. Then we'll need another little piece for the bottom. Okay, there's the bracket that we'll hang the sculpture from on the wall. At the other end, we'll put a piece down here that will just keep the sculpture level. Okay, now for the finish. Once again, I'm using a high-speed angle die grinder, pneumatic. Goes about 20,000 RPMs, and this is going to put the finish, which is, you know, really the artistic part of all of this. And we're going to take on, in this case, all the contours and the lines of the piece, so it'll all come together. This is actually cutting right into the metal, making it permanent. Important is to have a continuous line so we don't have any breaks as we're going along. Now we'll go on this side and we'll overlap some. by overlapping, it's going to give it even more dimension, because these lines are going this way and these lines are cutting across it, which brings it out. Okay, now we'll put on another disc. These don't last very long. There we have it. Now, to finish it off, we're going to put a little bevel and clean up all these cut edges. That completes this part of the wall sculpture. And as you can see, I bevel all the sides and edges in, and we have overlapping. And when this is on the wall and the light hits it, it's just going to be magnificent the way it just shoots off. So that's step one done. We'll set this over here for the moment. Okay, now we're going to put the finish on the arc piece. On my work, wherever possible, I like to give multiple types of finishes, not just all the same. So on the first one, we use the angle die grinder that gives a little softer looking, flowing finish. On this one, we're going to go just a little bit heavier and use what's called a flap disc. And when I do this, as you can see, I save them all because when they're new, they're real coarse for cutting down welds and things. After they've been used a while, they're a lot softer, and I can use them to make some great finishes. So on this piece, we're going to use the flap discs and get just a little different tone in this finish. Hopefully you can see that this is a little bit heavier, a little different. One continuous line all the way through it. But we're still going to bevel off the edges and polish those up with the angle die grinder. Now what we're going to do next on this piece is we're going to cut the threaded rod that gets screwed into these bolts to put the whole piece together.